If you've engaged with any part of the internet that has to do with books or reading in the past couple of years, you will probably know that a lot of the most popular books feel sort of similar. I will sometimes be reading a book and feel like the exact same characters are present in the books, or just even the same relationship dynamics. Things like enemies to lovers or friends to lovers, or the tropification of literature has made it so that there are a lot of very similar relationship dynamics in a lot of the books that are really popular nowadays. I love me a good tropey book and a good enemies to lovers book, so that's not what this video is about. I'm not trying to hate on any of those tropes or those books, but instead it's more of an explanation as to why I have found that this is becoming the case and how social media is changing the publishing landscape in a way that is forcing writers to write tropier books in order to game the algorithm and actually allow their books to be successful. And all of this is coming from someone who is chronically online and very deeply in book talk and gets a lot of book recommendations from there. So one of the main reasons that so many books feel similar and contain such similar elements nowadays is because of how powerful the social media algorithm has become in book marketing. TikTok has become a huge community of readers, so much so that you find tables at Barnes & Noble that are labeled like book talk sensations. There's a whole, like, pages on Goodreads for book talk books. The algorithm on TikTok is really the deciding factor in which books get pushed out more than other books, and that algorithm likes very specific things. In general, nowadays, more books are being published than ever before. There are not as many barriers to entry in publishing. Self-publishing has become extremely prevalent. A lot of people are choosing to self-publish, myself included, for many very valid reasons. Even in traditional publishing, a lot of traditional publishers are publishing more books than they used to, and because of this, it is on both the shoulders of the self-published and traditionally published authors to do a lot of their own marketing. I had a meeting with a traditionally published author not too long ago who was talking about how really there's like an A-list in traditional publishing and, all kind of a mid-list. And unless you're an A-list author, your traditional publisher is not going to put a lot of money behind marketing you, and it's going to be on your shoulders to do a lot of your own marketing. So all of these authors, self-published and traditionally published authors, are all taking to social media to try to get the word out there about their books, because Book Talk has a huge community of readers and social media is free. Some self-published authors do really well running ads, but ads are expensive and it's very easy to lose money doing ads. And it's pretty much impossible to make a profit doing ads when you're a traditionally published author, because you make between 10 and 15% on average in royalties, whereas self-published authors can make a lot higher royalties. Plus, if you're traditionally published, you don't own the rights to your book, and so you can't get as creative with getting your book out there. Like, it would be a lot more difficult for you to say, just decide to post all your audiobooks to YouTube to see if you can get some money through that. So everybody is coming to TikTok, and in a lot of ways, TikTok is a great equalizer because it allows everyone to get out there and try to get the word about their books out. But the problem is people are chasing the algorithm, and it can often feel pretty random what the algorithm likes to promote. Sometimes they push certain things and you're like, why are they pushing that book so much and completely ignoring this other book? And it can feel pretty impossible to get traction for certain books on TikTok. I was really confused about this because I tried to get some TikTok traction for my series a couple years ago and was finding it very difficult, and I was very unsuccessful at it. But last year I went to the Author Nation conference in Vegas and I did a session with Sasha Black, who really crystallized exactly why I had been having trouble marketing on TikTok. And it's because she said that TikTok likes very specific things. These 5 things are pulled directly from the session that she did and the notes that I took, so full credit to Sasha Black here. She's amazing, and this session absolutely blew my mind. But the 5 things that she said that TikTok really emphasizes and looks for in a video when trying to figure out what it wants to make viral, the first thing is taboo. Things that are really extreme, like things that are shocking and elicit some sort of reaction in some way. The example that she used in the session was, could you murder your wife to save your daughter? This also applies to romance, like taboo romance dynamics. The second thing is being significant, like having the FMC be really important to the MMC, like the MMC will burn down the world in order to save the FMC. It can also be flipped the opposite way and have the FMC be completely insignificant to the MMC in a very dramatic way. Like he's a really big billionaire and she's like a nobody. And that can be kind of a fantasy trope in romance, or not like a fantasy in like fantasy books way, but like it can be some sort of like wish fulfillment romantic fantasy that can be pushed into romance books. The third thing is danger, like really intense danger where you're like, how the heck are people going to escape this terrifying situation? Fourth thing is teasing. It can be both like romantic teasing, but also like teasing with mysteries and questions and really interesting like little dynamics and puzzles where, you know, you're really wondering how that's going to play out. I haven't found this one as successful in my own personal endeavors, but I can see other videos that have been very, very successful at that. And the fifth thing is joy or humor. So like things that make you laugh if you're really funny is probably more likely to go viral. I'm not personally funny enough to build a platform around my sense of humor, but hey, if you are, totally a great option for you. The key to viral videos on TikTok is to be emotionally resonant and elicit a reaction from your viewers. People on TikTok and on social media in general just see so much content constantly, and the things that stand out from the giant deluge of content are the things that are like really surprising or really shocking and elicit some sort of reaction that makes people go like, whoa, that's crazy. But book pitches are all about emotion. The more extreme the thing, the more likely it is to go viral. Like I was joking around the other day with my brother and we were talking about this, and I was like, yeah, I mean, what's more likely to go viral? Like if you have a pitch that says like a cowboy falls in love with a barrel racer, that's been done before. It's like there's nothing really that makes it stand out. And, you know, unless you have some really like grabby dialogue or a really interesting specific dynamic, it's probably unlikely to go viral just based on the concept. But if you had like the cowboy falls in love with the cow, it would be a lot more grabby and memorable and elicit a reaction. I don't really want to write the cowboy falls in love with a cow romance, but on TikTok, that would be much more successful than the generic cowboy barrel racer romance. Like, did you ever hear of that book, like, romancing the coronavirus? That was very successful on TikTok because it was so weird. So TikTok can be a great leveler of the playing field for authors because really then it just becomes about whether or not you can reach readers and whether or not you can market your book, and like it's a free platform and there are a ton of readers on there. But because the algorithm is the thing that you have to play in order to get your book pushed out to readers, people end up writing books that the algorithm favors. And that is why I think you have a lot more books that are feeling more and more extreme, that have these like kind of shadow daddy-like main characters, or that feature these taboo relationship dynamics. I tried to market my book They Stay for years on TikTok using the hook like, you know, her little brother goes missing and there's an evil necromancer who wants to bring another kid's ghost back to life inside that kid's body. But that wasn't really grabbing enough for it to take off on TikTok. But I've just started like a couple weeks ago marketing this new book that I wrote about these paranormal investigators who hunt the ghosts of undead serial killers. And already I have like over 40 people who want to beta read it. I've had videos that kind of took off of like about the concept. I've had tons of engagement because I've been able to leverage scenes from that book that are more shocking and have like, I have certain character dynamics that I wrote with that in mind to like try to make them a little bit more taboo, a little bit more extreme. And those scenes are really like starting to get out to readers, which is awesome. But this generally leads to more books trying to chase those more shocking elements, which means that a lot of these books that are becoming really popular are feeling kind of similar. So in general, it sucks because everyone is chasing profit and chasing social media, and that is why all of these tropes are becoming really popular, and that is making it a lot harder for authors that don't write those tropes, who write like slightly different things, to get traction on these platforms. But complaining about it isn't going to change anything. The sheer fact of the matter is that we are authors in the time of AI and in the time of TikTok, and that presents a lot of opportunity, and it also has some downside. So what can we do about it? I need to be able to make a living from writing my books. And so I have accepted that I need to have strong hooks and include some of these more shocking, grabby elements in some of my books in order to really be able to market them in a way that is effective. I'm purposefully including relationship dynamics and hooks and scenes that I think are going to be able to help my books go more viral on the apps. And I'm hoping that that is going to be able to help the sales of that series, and also generally will broaden my reach and be able to have sales spill over into my backlist and sell these passion projects that are slightly less hooky. I'm also starting a new pen name that is more strictly commercial and that is going to be geared more towards being a bit of a profit driver. And I'm figuring out a way to be able to find things that I'm really interested in and subjects that I'm really passionate about writing about and combining that with a thing that is very commercial. I'm also tapping into how I enjoy reading as a reader, because I really do enjoy a lot of the books that go viral on TikTok. Not all of them, but like I can see why they become popular in a lot of cases. And even though some of the tropes and stuff can be kind of silly, they can also be fun to read. And so just fully embracing that and then moving in that direction too and incorporating that into my marketing plan. It can be generally so hard to find good books just because there are so many of them out there. And it's hard to know when you're buying a book what the writing quality is going to be like and the storytelling capabilities. I have started so many bad books and put them down, and it's pretty frustrating, but it's also really awesome when you find like a gem that you absolutely love that you weren't expecting to find. One book that I read recently that I absolutely loved and that completely surprised me was Hoof by Carrie Lucina. I think the subtitle is Sarah the Well-Adjusted Serial Killer. It's super funny in a really dark way, and it's probably one of the most voicey books that I've ever read. Like, you get so deep into this main character's head, and it's a very unsettling, strange place to be. Like, I don't really like the character. I'm not done with the book yet. I'm probably like 40% of the way through. But she's so clear that she just jumps off the page. And just the way that the author was able to create that voice was very impressive to me. And also the premise was just so bizarre and also really awesome. I was talking to my fiance about it, and he was like, really, this book is sounding like it's a girl who wants to be a serial killer, so she goes out and tries to kill some animals to practice, and she can't go through with it, and so she ends up adopting all the animals and starts a farm. And that's a really great way to pitch it at the beginning from where I am at in the book so far. So I'm really liking this whole serial killer to farmer pipeline thing that's happening. And if you like kind of really irreverent humor and like some super weird dark comedy, I highly recommend it because I'm very much enjoying it. But anyway, that's all I have for you in this video. It was more of an informal chat than anything. It's just something that I've really been observing in the current landscape of writing and publishing. Which, you know, it sucks because there are a lot of really great books that don't have these commercial hooks, but it is also a really cool opportunity because if you understand how to use the algorithm and what to write, you can reach a lot of people, and that is a pretty cool way to be able to jumpstart your career that is completely free. I mean, it's not free because you have to spend a lot of time doing it. TikTok takes so much time. And I have been posting like 4 to 5 times a day for the first time ever in my entire life for the past couple of weeks as an experiment. And yeah, it takes a lot of time. I've also found that the videos that I spend less time making are the ones that typically do better, but it can be very frustrating when the algorithm just randomly picks up something and then completely ignores everything else. So it takes a lot of tenacity, especially if you're introverted like me and generally don't like social media, and the whole reason that you wanted to be a writer in the first place is because you wanted to stay in your house alone and just write your books in peace. But that is a whole separate issue. What are your opinions about TikTok and about book talk and what books are promoted on these platforms? Let me know in the comments. I'd be super interested to hear your thoughts. I hope you have a fantastic week, everybody. And as always, happy writing.